Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed participants from Italy and Canada, I hope you all enjoyed a very convivial lunch break. I'm honored to welcome you here today to discuss the crucial work stream discussion at the intersection of two groundbreaking fields, artificial intelligence and the space economy, or as we now call it, the economy. Mesdames et messieurs, chers participants, je suis honoré d'être parmi vous aujourd'hui pour représenter la communauté aérospatiale du Québec. Je tiens à remercier personnellement nos hôtes, la Chambre de commerce italienne au Canada et leurs partenaires d'avoir réuni un si grand nombre d'experts, influenceurs et de décideurs parmi nous en dessous d'un toit. As Senior Director of Strategy and Innovation at Aéro Montréal, Quebec's aerospace cluster, I have the pleasure to be your moderator for this session. Over the next few moments, please permit me to provide you with a brief introduction of space and Earth technology, shedding light on the importance of the topics we're delving into. Our world is undergoing a profound transformation where advancements in AI and the burgeoning space economy have converged, opening a realm of unprecedented possibilities. With participants hailing from our two regions, this diverse and knowledgeable group represents a global collaboration aimed at driving innovations and progress. Today, we come together to explore two paramount aspects of this intersection. First, the data and observation technology that orbits our planet in the form of satellites and their vital role in understanding our planet. We will discuss the implications of satellite data in environmental monitoring, climate change analysis, and the accuracy of weather prediction. These technological marvels are transforming how we perceive and adapt to the ever-changing dynamics of the planet. To do so, we must also address the ground-based and orbiting critical infrastructure challenges of the space economy. The exponential growth of satellites and space exploration initiatives brings forth issues like space debris, satellite constellation threats, and most importantly, the sustainability of space itself as a resource. As guardians of our space environment, we have a shared responsibility to ensure that we leave a legacy of sustainable practices for future generations. We will also explore how AI is a transformative technology that underpins the success of sustainability of the space economy and how it's being driven innovation in other fields such as life sciences and health monitoring. The discussions exchanged today will have implications on our collective ability to harness the benefits of AI and use them not only to mitigate risks, but to catalyze innovation solutions to problems that we are currently experiencing. The perspectives, insights, and collaborative efforts you will hear about today will guide us towards a future where we can leverage the power of data and technology while safeguarding the sustainability of our aerospace environment and tangibly benefiting our own well-being down here on the ground. Throughout this session, I have encouraged our expert panelists to engage in open and constructive dialogue, to share their expertise, and to explore the opportunities for collaboration between our two nations. Together, we aim to discover innovative solutions to the challenges that lie ahead. As a member of the audience, I invite you to reflect on what you hear today and engage in the necessary thought exercises to encourage further exploration of artificial intelligence for collaboration and partnerships between Canada and Italy. As a moderator, I'm here to ensure that our conversations are insightful, productive, and inclusive. I invite everyone to think boldly, challenge assumptions, and harness the collective knowledge in the room to drive positive change. At the end of the discussion, we hope to provide a clear summary of what we learned and what potential the discussion holds for continued collaboration between our two international communities. Before embarking on this insightful exchange, I have the monumental honor to welcome one of Quebec's shining stars in the field of the space economy. A remarkable individual whose passion, dedication, and visionary leadership is propelling humanity's understanding of both Earth and space to new heights. Mr. Stewart Bain and the organization he co-founded and leads, NorthStar Earth and Space, represents a beacon of inspiration and innovation in the field of data science and sustainability. As co-founder and CEO, he is catalyzing a new era in space technology and environmental monitoring. His organization's innovative work in Earth observation, space-based data collection, and environmental sustainability will not only advance our understanding of the Earth's fragile ecosystem, but also promises concrete solutions for some of our planet's most pressing challenges. What sets Mr. Bain apart is not just his impressive accomplishments, but his unwavering commitment to the betterment of the world. He and NorthStar have pioneered base space initiatives to monitor climate change, track natural disasters, and protect our environment both here and above the ground. Today, we are fortunate to have him amongst us to set the scene for our two panel discussions, which will explore how AI is being used up above to help us back down here on the ground. So please join me in providing a warm welcome to the inspiring Mr. Stewart Bain, who continues to bridge the realms of Earth and space to enrich our understanding and safeguard our planet. Mr. Bain?
Can I use one of these mics? Check. We're good? Thank you. Thank you for the extremely kind introduction. This morning, Shakespearean, this afternoon, maybe more Galileo. The questions that were asked during the day, particularly at lunch, I found very inspiring. I don't like to prepare too much when I speak. I like to sort of be inspired by the room, and I find this room very inspirational. I'll start by saying I don't like the expression artificial intelligence. I know it's something we use to point at something, but the word artificial concerns me because it makes it apart somehow from us. Technology is something we create. It comes from us. And from what I said this morning, we talk about how it's not the technology, it's the question that we're answering. So artificial intelligence, another term that we use, is machine learning. You're teaching a machine how to do something that a human may either be bored or not have enough bandwidth to do individually or collectively. And so thinking about it as artificial intelligence and getting afraid of what it can do is a good reaction. Like, I was on an elevator one time, and a little boy was about the height of my dog, came in with his mother, and he was terrified of my dog. My dog is extremely passive. And he looked at the dog and he was scared. And his mother was trying to convince him not to be scared. And I said to her, I have 6 kids. I said to her, do you mind if I talk to your son? I learned that technique from Japanese people. I said, do you mind if I talk to your son? She said, you can talk to my son. I said, I got down pretty low and I said, you're afraid? And he said, yes. I said, that's a good thing. That means it's important. So don't try to be not afraid of artificial intelligence. Don't try to turn away from artificial intelligence. Use your instincts, and everyone has good instincts. As my mother said, we're all born great artists. We just learn how to be something else. So trust your instincts and what they're telling you about how to make decisions on what to do with artificial intelligence. So my favorite story about artificial intelligence is about a woman named Virginia Apgar. Does anybody know who Virginia Apgar is? Well, she had a hand in saving all of your lives. And the lives of every child that was born, at least in North America, probably in Europe, since the late 1950s. Virginia Apgar was a pediatrician in the United States. And a lot of children were dying, sudden infant death syndrome or other systems. And she came up with a score it's now called the Apgar test. Every child goes through the Apgar test. It's appearance, pulse, grimace or reaction, another A, and reflexes. Okay? And these 5 things get scored 0, 1, or 2. The overall score says whether the baby is good enough to go home or not go home or needs more care. The doctors were doing this individually, and they found children were still dying at the same rate. So they took all of the data from multiple hospitals and multiple locations from all over the United States and elsewhere, and they compiled it, and they used a computer of sorts to crunch the numbers. That's artificial intelligence. The computer did the calculation, not the old doctor with the stethoscope and the pipe saying, kid looks good to me, and off he goes home. So that's a nice story to remember, because that's the power of technology being used to solve a specific problem. And I'm back to what is the why? Abraham Lincoln said, in a time of crisis, somebody will always step up and do the right thing. But if you truly want to know the character of an individual, give them power. Technology is a huge amount of power that is being given to us. And we talk about technology, again, like it's something outside of us. I'm an aerospace engineer. I work with PhDs, astrophysicists, orbit dynamicists, computer scientists. And at the end of the day, it's about the human factor. You have to manage the human element, not the technology element. The technology is coming from inside us. And so the inspiration is, how do we resolve that equation so that it works to all of our benefit? And so the focus today is on this topic. The questions that we are asking are fundamental, and it will test all of us. But at the end of the day, do you want to live in a society where the most important thing that we have to do is control? Control. We have to control. We need regulatory. We need control. We need more control on technology. Or should we be investing in something else that I've observed, at least through COVID? We should be investing in humanity. Because if you really want technology to work for our benefit, we would be spending more time investing in humanity, investing in cognitive behavior, investing in psychology, investing in how do we teach the next generation not to be combative with technology, but to be constructive with technology. It's not about building the next innovative thing. It's about building a better generation of people. A better generation of people who truly want to do good things. You must have faith in humanity in order for technology to balance. And I think we've overbalanced the equation, to speak like an engineer, on the side of technology, and not enough on the side of humanity. It is the fundamental principle of what makes any enterprise work as a business. In the end of the day, you're not managing technology. I'm not managing products. I'm managing people. And people are the key and also the challenge that we all face. And when we start looking introspectively and start working on self-awareness and working on how we can interact with each other more constructively, our confidence to take on these huge technologies will start to, I think, balance out. Because with great power, said differently, with great power comes great responsibility. Ask Robert Oppenheimer. If you haven't seen the movie, I've seen it 3 times. It touches me deeply personally, because I am on the forefront of developing new technology that could be used in a way that I might not agree with. So how do you rationalize that? You think about the human aspect, and you study the philosophy. The philosophical sciences, the personal, the psychological sciences, and the things that motivate us must be cared for as much as differential equations, astrophysics, orbit dynamics, computer systems, and computer science. Because in the end, we put those tools into the hands of people. And so we have to invest in ourselves. And so NorthStar's go-to line is empowering humanity to preserve our planet. I wrote it, and every word means something important to me. Empowering humanity to preserve our planet. Because we have to invest in ourselves and believe in ourselves that we can work with this incredible, powerful tool. And when you think about it philosophically, I'll close on this note, but maybe it's not a great note to close on, so I'll think of something else. When I looked at the Facebook, because that's what it was called originally, and you say to yourself, what was the philosophy of the Facebook? Mark Zuckerberg created an algorithm that said, if I swipe left, the girl's pretty. If I swipe right, the girl's not pretty. What good can come from that? None. Your philosophy is off. Your compass is pointing in the wrong direction, and your purpose is misaligned with the benefit of humankind. And I think we've all experienced something with the Facebook that is less than desirable. So that's a very powerful tool. He should never have been given that level of investment. He should never have been allowed to run free with that, and we should never have allowed that to do what it did to society, and particularly young women. Very upsetting. But let's not forget it. Let's learn from it. Invest in the people, invest in the philosophy, think about what you want to do, and take that to heart. Because we're just as good at taking care of each other as we are creating technology. We have to believe that if we're going to succeed ourselves. Thank you for having me today.
Thank you very much, Stewart. Although there was no Shakespeare in there, it was as inspirational as this morning. So thank you very much. Now moving on to learning a little bit more about what our panelists are going to do with their technology and what is their compass. Before we do that, I just would like to set a little bit more of a context. We can clearly see from what we've heard this morning that over the past few decades, space economy has evolved at an astounding pace, leading to the emergence of groundbreaking innovations designed not just for exploring the cosmos, but also for a more profound impact here on Earth. This transformation is the space industry has seen a shift from the exclusively governmental-led focus on exploration of space-facing satellites to a broader vision involving private and non-government organizations that encompasses sustainability, resource utilization, and improved quality of life on all humanity. Technologies such as the development of satellite-based Earth observation systems, solar-powered technologies, and medical imaging technologies have an exponentially growing impact on revolutionizing activities in agriculture, disaster management, global telecommunications, pharmacology, and disease detection. Even space mining may prove beneficial to reducing the environmental impact on Earth. How else will transferable technologies and knowledge of the space economy be used to benefit on Earth for the years to come? With that question, I would like to introduce our expert panelists. Maybe you can join me on stage, everyone. Giovanni Giacco, Chief Technology Officer at Latitude 40. Marco Foligani, owner and co-founder of MEEO. Antonio Tiri, Innovation Engineer at Unipol, Letha. Max Lenarsiak, co-founder of Sly. Stefano Falzini, Business Development Manager, Airbus Italia. Please take a seat. Nicola Martinez, who will be joining us remotely, Project Manager and Unit Head at Statistics Canada. Ali Alewad, Senior Manager at Deloitte. And Dr. Marianne Girard, Team Lead for Data Products and Delivery at GHG SAT. Thank you for being with us today, everyone. Much appreciated. I'm going to give you the opportunity, I'll call out your names, and maybe just take the opportunity to give a little bit more detail about who you are, your organization, and the role you play. And following that, I'd like you to answer this following question. Throughout your organization's drive to innovate, what specific AI technology or application have you considered, developed, and or utilized to advance the space economy? What are the transferable benefits for Earth? And how do these innovations impact the industry's growth and sustainability? All right, everyone's memorized that three-part question. Okay, I'd like to start with our representative from Deloitte, Ali Alewad.
Thank you, Jarrod. That's a great question. My name is Ali Alewad. I'm a senior manager in Deloitte in our AI practice. It's called Omnia, and I have a background is kind of between the space field as well as artificial intelligence. I kind of jumped on the wagon in end of 2016. But I surely have always been fascinated with the space industry, and I still do. Within Deloitte, I am part of our space practice, and my job is to increase basically adoption of space utilization, mostly for like all humanity, basically. I'm part of a program called the Gravity Challenge, and it's basically Deloitte trying to bring the world together as much as we can. In a way, it's an open challenge to bring in innovation as well as challenges, and trying to see more value and downlink application as per a conversation I had earlier, more application for the Earth observation data as well in general, the space sector. And today I would be presenting some of the the collaboration that we have done, and this is a long overdue panel, I would say, with our collaboration from Italy as well as Statistics Canada.
Do we have a slide for Ali? There we go.
Perfect.
That's
okay,
perfect.
it's here. So in a nutshell, Gravity Challenge is basically this global challenge started with our colleagues in Australia, and their main aim is we're seeing a lot of innovators and extremely talented individuals, companies globally that are very active in the space field, but we were seeing also a mismatch in terms of the demand. How are they getting buyers or interested parties into their services, and who is putting out those challenges, who has a problem to solve? And based on that premise, we basically built the Gravity Challenge, where it's a global event. It opens once a year, and now we're running it to even more than once a year. And there's a window where people apply for basically with their challenges. Statistics Canada, which I believe Nicholas on the call here has put in a challenge related to trying to scan Canada for basically what are the the state of construction on a building. That's very important information for this Statistics Canada and for the economy of Canada in general, trying to understand how much homes are being built, complete the building, or did not start building. But equally, there was challenges from more than there was more than a 100 challenges that was submitted over the years, and there was more than 1,000 applications and solutions that were proposed. So we're seeing a value of this kind of matching solutions with problems. Thank you. Maybe
Excellent.
I did a long intro, but
no, that's perfect. And you mentioned that there is already some collaboration. So from what I understand, you've been working with Latitudo 40.
Correct. So Latitudo 40 at the time that when the challenge came out from StatCan, they put a very impressive basically proposal of how they solve it. They took into account both the technology, the economic angle to it, how they can solve the problem within the means of what the challenge required. And the technology was computer vision. Its applications are not just limited to the space field, but it is in our everyday life, autonomous vehicle, but also in our X-rays machines and in our phones. So the technology is everywhere. Using it in the space field sounds like a great idea, and maybe we'll talk in a bit about that.
Yeah, so I think no better segue than that. Giovanni, would you like to continue that process, answer the question, and maybe talk a little bit about the collaboration that you've had with Deloitte, and tell us a little bit more about your technology?
Okay. Hi everyone, I'm Giovanni Giacco and I'm CTO of Radio 40. I started as a software engineer maybe 12 years ago. After that, I moved to the artificial intelligence side of the computer science. And I'm about also to finish a PhD in the application of artificial intelligence in the Earth observation field. Ali introduced a little bit what we did during the Gravity Challenge that Deloitte proposed. I'll give to you a brief introduction of what we do in Latitudo 40, so maybe it's a little bit clear of what we did with Statistics Canada. Every day in Latitudo 40, what we do is working with satellite imagery, but generally with geospatial data, applying machine learning, deep learning techniques, but not only artificial intelligence techniques, to extract information and actionable insights from data. We produce several kinds of analysis, from land cover changes, from the assessment of urban Italian phenomenon to the assessment of carbon storage estimation of forests and urban greenery in cities, etc. And we use several kind of artificial intelligence algorithms. We start from simple machine learning techniques, and we arrive to generative AI. For example, in the last period, we worked to a solution that can create synthetic satellite imagery with generative AI, with GAN networks. And this was very useful because you can create some synthetic data to simulate what happens in the future without that this happens effectively. What I mean is, if you want to, for example, assess what happens in your city if you plant a tree or a new park, you can make this with generative AI and our solution. The idea is that we work in Latitude 40 to create, to give our contribution to a digital twin of the Earth, where you can learn from the past, monitor the present, and plan the future, making informed decision with data. In this context, we helped Statistics Canada because they, this was a very strange situation, because it was the first time that we worked with a customer that already has in place his solution. Statistics Canada has already developed his algorithms to classify the building construction phases during their stage, but they had a problem that they developed their algorithm using commercial, very high resolution satellite imagery. So the operational cost was very high. And maybe Nicolas after that can give some more information about that. What we did, you can see in the slide on the left, we implemented using always generative AI. We implemented an algorithm to downscale the spatial resolution of satellite imagery from 10 meter spatial resolution to a 1 meter spatial resolution. On the bottom of the in the image on the bottom, you see the Sentinel-2 satellite imagery, and on the top, sorry, and on the bottom you can see the corresponding satellite imagery at 1 meter spatial resolution. So as you can see, you can view inside the image buildings, roads that are not so clear in the first image. So we use this technology to help Statistics Canada in their use cases, and I think of course we applied an algorithm to, after that, using this satellite imagery to classify the building construction phases, using and lowering, in this case, the operational cost of the solution and make it feasible.
Very, very interesting. A big difference between the top box. It looks like you're looking into a steamy mirror after a shower versus out of a window. So
please trust me, it's not a very high resolution imagery buyed from anywhere, but is the output of our algorithms.
Right. Very interesting. And do we have Nicholas on the line remotely? He's should be with us. Excellent. Hello, Nicholas Martinez from Statistics Canada. How are you today, sir?
Good, thank you. Just happy to be here. I'm glad I was able to connect with you guys. I know you guys allowed me to connect via Zoom today, even though I had a planned family vacation. So,
well, we thank you for joining us during your vacation. So that's a good sign for us. So thank you very much. So we were just chatting with your partners here, and they're talking about the gravity challenge and the technology that Latitude 40 generated. And maybe can you elaborate to the audience a little bit more in detail the use of that technology for your mission statement at Statistics Canada and what the outcome has been for you?
Absolutely. So the Geospatial Construction Starts project, which is the project we collaborated with Latitudo and Deloitte on, actually grew out of a program redesign that I led for our investment in building construction program. Now, this project was a joint venture project with Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation to develop a leading edge method for estimating housing starts using satellite imagery combined with machine learning, artificial intelligence. Now, the reason we did this is that Canada Mortgage Housing Corporation currently operates a construction starts completion survey, the old-fashioned way with boots on the ground. Unfortunately, it does have certain data gaps. It doesn't cover the non-residential sector, and it doesn't cover all communities across Canada. So you have differential inputs. And our model, which uses some administrative data from building permits to this housing construction starts data, that tells us when we kick on the model and when we start to amortize the investment from a given construction project into our economy, and we tally that all up. You can kind of see it accounts for approximately 7.6% of the Canadian economy. It's a major economic indicator used by both the Bank of Canada, Finance Canada, and a whole host of policymakers who are currently looking at the housing crisis that we have. So that's a little bit about the project and how we got to it. Now, what we were looking for with Latitudo was a solution to a data problem, and that data problem was cost. We looked at whether we could do this with simple high resolution optical data, and lo and behold, you can. And but at scales that were uneconomic. And I think that I was super impressed both with the proposal that we received from them, how professional their group was, and how commercially ready their product was. And the Super Resolve Sentinel-2 data provided us with a modeled cost saving of 98% compared with native high resolution data. And I can't understate the importance of the effect of that in terms of making the project cost viable. Now, we've been shelved for the last year for different reasons, but I'm hoping that at some point we can pick this up again. There are other key constraints that we do have, and for example, I allude to it there, and that's access to other data sources that are required in order to make the model possible, and that is parcel data being a key one, and then some other inputs from building permits, which I didn't have listed here. But it does have a real potential to impact the lives of, I think, Canadians. And we also collaborated with partners at the US Census Bureau who are looking to build a similar parallel system, because this data is important to policymakers, and we got to get that in their hands so that they can track what's going on in the economy, especially in a time like COVID when traditional surveys weren't run, and the data became less reliable, and so decision makers didn't have the best data at the time. So that's a short nutshell summary. Hopefully we can tease it out a little bit more as we go through the panel here.
Excellent. So if I could maybe summarize, you went from a hardware solution, which is the high-res optics from satellite imagery, but then you switched to a more software-based solution that give you that same level of resolution at 98% cost reduction.
That's right. Yeah. And there were some
Good deal.
things that we had to there were some additional components that we had to include, like layer in order to facilitate that. Obviously, working with a lower resolution product introduces certain challenges for the model. But when we were able to reduce the question about whether a construction start was happening, so we started to use a targeted approach. So initially we had been looking at using a scanning approach where the model would look at the high resolution data and scan and try and detect new construction starts. That was less efficient, and it was incredibly expensive in terms of compute cost. But when we introduced the targeted detection using the parcel data, the permit data, and then when we layered in the lower Super Resolved Sentinel-2 data, it worked, and it was highly accurate. I think we had a 97% accuracy rating at the time that we had to end our pilot. But that was good enough to move forward. And I think there were a lot of things we could have done to improve that. Latitudo also, during our collaboration, developed a new derived product, which was incredibly interesting, which used both Sentinel-2 and Sentinel-1 data. So it was a hybrid SAR optical product, which allowed us to make predictions on the ground changes through things like cloud cover. And again, that's one of those transformational developments where you don't have to worry about cloud cover exactly anymore. So I think that there was a lot of potential growth for future investigation on the technology and what we could have done with it.
Excellent. So Italian technology helping better use of Canadian public funds. So we thank you for that. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
I'm going to shift over to Marco Foligani. Can you talk to us about your use of the technology AI? Did you develop it? You're using it, and how is that being incorporated into the earthbound benefits?
Yeah, thank you. I'm Marco Foligani. I am managing partner and co-founder of my company. MIO. MIO stands for Meteorological Environmental Earth Observation. My background is atmospheric physics, and we have been working in Earth observation since 2004, starting collaborating with the European Space Agency in 2006 for what concerns the implementation of a processing tool for Earth observation data information extraction. Concerning the topic, which is artificial intelligence applied to Earth observation, we started working with artificial intelligence in 2012, when it was not so, let's say, popular, we can say. And now we have been working with a super resolution algorithm similar to what just presented by Latitude 40. And also we are applying artificial intelligence to extract information from satellite data concerning air quality, environmental risk, and agriculture application. In my perspective, in my point of view, to do good artificial intelligence, what we need basically four things: data, good quality data, processing capability, which means computational resources, skilled people, and data. Have I said data? Yeah. Okay. Indeed. Beside the vertical application and algorithm development, we have been working a lot in what I call geodata brokering, which means that to be effective in any kind of machine learning applications, what we need is good access to good quality, very good quality data. Otherwise, any kind of algorithm can fail when you try to transfer to operation if you didn't test on massive amount of data. And for this reason, we have been working data accessing, data discovery, data accessibility, and also data federation. Because now, with such a large amount of satellites, which means a large amount of data as well, we need to improve our capability to identify, to select properly data, to train properly, to avoid all things like overfitting and noise and so on. So, which means that, okay, machine learning, but we have to build the baseline, which, in my opinion, is a good way to manage properly data.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Well, I think when you mentioned good data twice, I think it's resonating very well, and it's a good segue to Dr. Marianne Girard from GHG, who has data in her title. So maybe we're going to be hearing a little bit more of the same same aspects. Would you like to talk to us about GHG SAT and?
Yeah, sure. I agree with good data, definitely needed for good AI as well.
I was like in opposition.
Okay, you prepared like for what I had to say. No, but so yeah, just briefly about what we do in the company. One is my role. So as mentioned, data product lead is my title. So it's very vague. So just to maybe let you know a bit more what I'm involved in is really, well, machine learning project, data processing automation, but also interpretation of data for monitoring and mitigation greenhouse gas emission. So let me just explain a bit what we do at GGSat, and after I'll just enter into like what data we use for AI and how we can use that to benefit for Earth. So GGSat, we are a commercial company. We have a satellite constellation of 9 satellites currently. What we do is we detect greenhouse gas emission. Right now, we really focus on methane. We have actually our first CO2 satellite being launched in the coming month, so fingers crossed. That should be very exciting. But for now, we really focus on methane, and our goal is to really be able to detect methane at high spatial resolution and with high sensitivity. So we are able to detect small leaks and pinpoint at facility level where those leaks come from. So in a very dense area, we're still able to say these leaks come from this operator, and the goal when we get this information is also to get it to the operators on the ground rapidly so they can take action. And if it's a leak, send a team to fix it, or if it's a very persistent emission, at least track what's going on. So we were able to achieve that through our proprietary technology, and we work with different organizations. So as a commercial company, we partner a lot with industries, so mostly oil and gas companies, mining companies, as well as waste management, or let's say the three main sector for methane emission. But we work closely also with government to help them understand emission in different areas, and we also work very closely with researchers. We, for example, work with different space agencies to make our data available for researchers for different projects. Yeah, that's a bit of a summary. So let me just talk to you about AI now. Now that we have almost 2 years of data, we could actually start to work on AI, because you need a lot of good data to actually work on those projects. And now that we are growing our constellation, because this is essential for us to be able to monitor as many sites as possible. Right now we have a capability to revisit a site every day, but we want to be able to revisit sites more often. So with more satellite and more data come in, but our goal is still to put those data in the hand of customer or partners in less than 2 days that we do right now. So more data and trying to get it analyzed faster. So this is how we use our AI really to help us detect emission in our images. And through, for getting to those projects, we really work closely with also different partners, in both academic and in the industry as well. So that's a bit what we do.
Okay. Maybe for the benefit of the audience, I can understand why the government would want to be able to detect methane to see where polluters are, but why would private industry want to know they're polluting? Are they doing it on purpose and trying to keep it secret? Or why would they say, okay, call me out? What are they going to do with that?
Yeah, no, that's a very that's a very good question. Actually, it really depends on the sector. So for oil and gas, if basically if there is some emission coming from infrastructure for oil and gas, typically it's because there's something going wrong or some faulty equipment. So really, this is benefit both for them because they're losing money by having faulty equipment underground, losing gas, or having a wells that is ejecting gas when it's not intended, or a leak in a pipeline that's not. They basically lose money, and so for those case, it's both good for them to know about this, to fix it as soon as possible, but more and more with the company that we work, it's also they want to be as green as possible because this is what their customer wants as well. The other thing for oil and gas is regulation in their country, that they have to prove also how much they emit and per site, and with a certain frequency, typically several times per year. And it's really costly for them to do that by deploying equipment on the ground. Some company can have thousands and thousands of sites in very remote areas. So instead of deploying teams on the ground and equipment for each of those sites, they can just take satellite measurement. Yeah. And for sector like mining and waste management, it's less about faulty equipment. It's more about understanding how much emission there is, and with how it relates to the activities underground to understand better practice to emit less emission.
Okay. So my sister runs a dairy farm. Can I have you fly over her farm and
Actually,
see what colors show up?
Yeah, I mean, agriculture is a bit more challenging because those emissions are very diffuse, so it's much, much harder to detect. But we did detect some dairy farm actually in the US recently.
I'll
so
pass the word that she has to be careful.
we calculated the
Plug the
detection.
leaks.
We actually we calculated the detection threshold as a function of how many cows we need in one point. So
Very interesting. I love it. I love it. Thank you very much, Marianne. I'm going to shift over to Antonio Thierry from Unipol.
Yeah. Can you hear me? Yeah.
I think so. Yes.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for the opportunity to be here with you. I'm Antonio Thierry, as you said, and I lead the natural event practice in Leita. Leita is the solution factory of the Unipol insurance group. Unipol is one of the most important insurance company in Italy. We are the first non-life insurance company in Italy and the first telematic insurance provider in Europe. Unipol decided in 2017 to create a competence center for data science and computer science inside the group. And what we do basically is to support the several companies of the group and the several business lines of the insurance chain in everyday work. So we develop applications in the field of pricing of insurance policies, claim settlement, reinsurance, and sustainability, of course. And we have a specific project stream that I lead that deals with the link between the extreme natural event and the impacts on the business, the insurance industry, let's say. Coming back to your very short question at the beginning.
You need me to repeat it again?
No, yes.
Data.
One
of your answers is data.
Yeah, we do use Earth observation data, and we do use artificial intelligence and combination of artificial intelligence and Earth observation data in several kinds of applications. For example, one of the most important is the analysis of risk of our customers. As shown in the slide, the risk is a combination of three factors. That is the exposure. It is linked on how many policies we have in a specific area. The vulnerability, that is the propensity of an insured asset to be adversely affected by an extreme event, and the hazard, that is directly related with the probability of occurrence of extreme events. And we use both Earth observation data and artificial intelligence in each of these components. For instance, regarding the hazard, we use the climatological reanalysis to create the so-called hazard maps that describes the return time of an extreme event for each point of the Italian territory. And the reanalysis, that is the retrospective analysis, is a combination of data observations coming from satellites, model data, and also observations of ground station data to create the so-called maps without gaps that reconstruct the, let's say, the variation of the most important meteorological variables on the over time, basically. Another application that we have regards the vulnerability. Vulnerability is the propensity, so investigates the link between the magnitude of an extreme event and the damage ratio that we could have, and in order to do that, we have to map the main characteristics of the building of the Italian territory, and we would like to do that using algorithms, computer vision algorithms applied to aerial imagery, so satellite imagery, but also drone imagery. And yeah, the last but not least application regards the post-event analysis. Unfortunately, we performed this kind of analysis some days ago when in Tuscany there was an important flood event that invested all the region. And unfortunately, we had another important flood event in Emilia-Romagna region last May. And basically, when we have this kind of extreme events, we use satellite data in order to perimeter the areas that are most affected by the flood events. Basically, we use the SAR data, the synthetic aperture radar, with algorithms that investigate the variation of the intensity of signals due to the floods event. And with the delineation of this kind of areas, we are able to predict the losses that the insurance company will have. So this is an overview of the applications that we have in using both AI and Earth observation.
Our Montrealers and Italians need to be worried that this technology will be used for monitoring our driving and taking away our licenses in the future, or is that something that we can keep at bay for a while?
No, not driving, but probably if you want a black box inside your car, probably something we can do.
Well, the black box is always on us, right? So
yeah.
The GPS. So be careful driving home. The Unipol will be able to tell you.
If you are a good driver, we can make you a good discount.
Ah, there we go. Now we're talking. 98% price discount, just like Statistics Canada got. So that's something to look forward to. Yes, exactly. Well, with that, maybe Stefano, I'll pass it to you. You work for an international global company, but representing Airbus Italia. Maybe you can tell us the fundamentals.
Do you hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. My name is Stefano Falsini from Airbus Italia. Thank you to have this opportunity. Few words on the Airbus Italia. We are part of the big group, Airbus Defence and Space, but we benefit also of a startup spirit since our entity in Italy is not so big. So we have the flexibility to respond to the user needs or industrial needs. We are present in different missions, European and national one, and we develop products for telecommunication, Earth observation, and we have also able to, a pillar is the bespoke products, and in this part there is also to define, to provide artificial intelligence solution. Here, in this slide, I summarize the artificial intelligence roadmap in Airbus Italia. And so we started in the year 2000 when these techniques are not so large diffusely. And we applied for two different solutions in the space sector. So the first one was devoted to the orbit control of geostationary satellite that use ion thruster. In this case, there are a lot of constraints, so you have to plan daily maneuvers, but inside a lot of constraints. So this was very difficult, and so we realized that this team that help the ESA mission of Artemis satellite. The second solution that we developed with the support of Italian Space Agency was to define a small satellite attitude control, and this was implemented by fuzzy logic using different sets of logic rules for the different modes of the satellite, providing autonomy to the satellite to take decision on unexpected events. Then we had the opportunity for a know-how transfer from space to ground. So we implemented the artificial intelligence solution for a ground problem completely independent from the space. This was also, in this case, was financed by Italian Space Agency, and the goal was to reduce the environmental pollution of a refinery. Since this process is a complex process, where the final product is the oil gas, but as a byproduct, there is also the fuel gas. And the fuel gas is not easy to be stored, so when it exceeds a threshold, it must be burnt, because for security reasons and so on. So this generate pollution, and so the goal was to define a multi-layer controller with artificial intelligence techniques in order to reduce this pollution. This was done with the users in the Sardinia Island refinery. So this was a very interesting project. Now we are in the era of space economy, and what can do in this era. We have defined two projects. The first one is related to the production of flight units. So we realize flight filters for microwave payload, and many times these filters have tuning screw that requires a long work to be tuned. So the idea is that when we have to produce a big quantity of these filters to respond to the needs of a space economy, so mega constellation and so on, we need an automatic process. And we are developing this process using robotics and artificial intelligence techniques. The last one is hybrid system, in the sense that it covers both ground and space environment, and is an artificial intelligence solution for disaster early warning. I heard this morning from from Humanitas that when there is a disaster, there is no coverage of telecommunication and so on. And so the idea here is to provide directly information to the user located in the same zone where the disaster occurs. For this solution, we are designing two satellites, a prime satellite and a CubeSat as ancillary satellite that communicate through inter-satellite link. So the main satellite acquire the image and process them and extract the information. But this requires some time, and so it occurred that the main satellite is not more over the zone disaster. So the message is communicated by inter-satellite link to the ancillary CubeSat that transmitted to the user directly the information, and this is a vital information that is exploited through the use of artificial intelligence techniques.
So it will allow people in a potential disaster zone more time to prepare and
yes.
leave or have preventive measures put in place.
To follow also the evolution and monitor and to prevent disaster or impact of disaster.
Thank you very much, Stefano. Last but definitely not least, Max Larsniak of SLY.
Hi, everyone. I'm Max. As the last person, I will try and be the briefest. So I am the co-founder and CTO of SLY. We're based in the wonderful region of Calabria in the south of Italy. And really our hypothesis there is that you can go to places to find, very local, very interesting problems. In our case, what we do is the detection and mitigation of wildfires with edge AI sensor nodes. They're ultra low cost, ultra low power, but very interestingly, they communicate directly to satellite. So we go through a narrowband LoRa to geostationary satellites, so we can have basically communication in extreme events. And the other thing that we do, because we realize detection really isn't enough, is with the use of remote sensing, we effectively build a triage platform that says, okay, there are n many events that are occurring, but because of the fat tail distribution of events, a very small subset, so less than 1% of all wildfires are responsible for over 60% of the burnt area. And so what we do is we combine effectively remote sensing to classify vegetation, the continuity of the vegetation, the topographies, the humidity, the land cover, etc. And what that lets us do is effectively predict, given a detection, what is the likelihood that that is going to become, one of these catastrophic conflagrations, so we can focus limited response resources to those events that might be most devastating. In the south of Italy, there's a tremendous amount of small events, so response resources are limited. The parallel in a place like Canada or in California, where we have an office and where we work with the power utilities, is that the areas are so vast, and if you're going to go and respond, it's quite expensive. So you have to know which events you have to respond to, and that's what we've been working on.
That's excellent. So does the technology take into account weather patterns as well? Because obviously wind is a very big factor in where that goes. So it's got to predict the wind and the vegetation and the topography to come up to saying.
I tried to avoid saying AI for the whole thing, but yes. Effectively what we do is we make machine learning models that try and bring in various sorts of information, including barometric pressure waves. We can actually see wave fronts forming, so we can update wind even faster than we would get it from weather stations. And we can do some really interesting stuff to effectively predict in real time how events are unfolding and where we think they will, how they will develop over, let's say, next hour, 3 hours, 6 hours, so we can help our responders have greater situational awareness.
Excellent, thank you. I'm just going to look to my colleague in 20 minutes for this section before I can invite the... Okay, perfect. So that gives us some time. So the next, I wanted to talk about collaboration. On a few of your slides, I noted that there's universities and research centers that you're collaborating with, and I think the audience wants to know what are the possibilities going forward between Italy and between Canada? Is it business-to-business relationship potential? Is it business to government? Is it government to government? Is it university research center to all of the above? How do you see the potential of what your organization is working with that we can maybe follow up and see some potential opportunities of working together? And I also wanted, if we have enough time, also to summarize maybe a little bit of a takeaway that you would like the audience to leave here with today so that they can reflect. They're not all space folks, but there's an interest in AI, but how can that resonate with them? So if there's something important that you'd like them to take away. So we heard from Ali and Nicholas and Giovanni, my apologies, a little bit about that collaboration model. So maybe what I'll do is I'll skip over and I'll start back with you, Max, and see what can we do, talk about collaboration on your side between our two regions.
Sure, absolutely. So maybe I'll start with how collaboration changed our business. So we started out really focused on the edge AI sensing component with terrestrial networks. And the challenge that we faced was, as our customers wanted us to be in more and more remote areas, we really had no way, unless we were going to do very expensive backhaul or something, to effectively communicate what we were sensing. As the project scope grew, we got put together with a business called Proesis, which is an incredible business in Italy that effectively built the ground stations and the modems to enable some of these older EchoStar satellites to be repurposed as narrowband IoT satellites that can now cover entire continents with IoT. From there, what we started realizing was the thing that we need to do is bring together solutions that really help us serve our customers more and serve them better. And they want to see different risk layers, for example. So when we were talking before with GHG, you said, wow, this is amazing. You guys can see methane from space. One of our customers is Eni, which is the largest energy company and pipeline operator in Italy. And what we do with them is our sensors can also detect methane leaks. So we classify methane leaks, and immediately our first thing was, okay, can we correlate what we're detecting on the ground with what you guys are seeing on space to help them better pinpoint events that are happening? And I think that effectively what you can see is in Italy there is a tremendous amount of academics, of research work, but the commercialization is still, I think, something that could be accelerated further. And I think, combining some of the commercial resources that you see here, some of the capital that you see here, with some of the really amazing work and technology that's being built out there, is going to be a place where you'll have some fruitful results.
Oh, you got those notes? That's excellent. There was no test. We're not necessarily going to follow up with a survey in 3 weeks to find out if there's a MOU signing, but maybe there will be. Maybe 4 weeks.
Totally have to put her on the spot.
Yeah. Let's Marianne, maybe since there's that potential there. Is there other areas that you see other than with Sly that there's potential?
Yeah, I think there's different aspect for us, like both the research side, the customer side, or the industries like underground and other space industry company that I could imagine partnership as well. So let's start with research. Let's say, we always, our data, of course, primary goal is to help people understand monitoring and trying to mitigate emissions, but we want also our data to help researchers to better understand methane emission or other greenhouse gas emission eventually. So we're part of like the ESA third-party program as well that allows researchers in Italy and in Europe in general to apply to our data freely for some of their research projects. So through that program, we typically collaborate a lot with researchers to write papers or understand better emission in different source or different projects. So that's one way we want to encourage people to collaborate with us. Going to a more customer side, this is definitely something like you talk about any other oil and gas company. This depends really what are the needs of the people on the ground, but like we offer kind of our data to people with different ways to monitor depending of what they needs and what they want to look at and what information they want to get. So we, with our satellite, we can revisit any site worldwide. So like we can monitor anywhere in the world. So both onshore and offshore as well. So like definitely like we are open to partnership and collaboration with companies that are interested in using that for both monitoring and eventually mitigating their emission. And on the, I guess, what I think I've been talking to a lot of the people actually on the panel before, and that come back a lot as like collaboration between other space company. I think is how our data are complementary and how they can be used to get more information on something that could be useful for people. So like you talk about like how you can get detection, but maybe not following up and monitoring after. We talk about like Prisma, so that is another satellite that can detect methane and be complementary. So that's the kind of collaboration I can see also a lot between Canada and Italy, is really how we can put all our data together for a different project and get more information out of it for people.
Excellent. I was going to ask Brian Gallant a question during his keynote to see if they have an international outreach process also, so that we can understand is at the Canadian context, do they have a service that can reach out to Italy and follow up and see something? So if he doesn't, I maybe have a new mandate for him. So I'll see what he's not here today, so not right now. So that's good. So I can pop that on him later. 10 minutes? Okay. Marco, any challenges that the meteorological and environmental Earth observation is facing that collaboration can be helpful to overcome?
Challenges, I can tell you briefly the way we are collaborating with the different countries and different sectors. For example, with the research and academy, we are working a lot with the university and research center in Europe for what concerns the development of new algorithms, and we provide them contents and data spaces to implement a new solution, and they give us back a solution that we can test and we can try to transfer to operation, keeping our company competitive with respect to bigger company. And other companies, other international companies, we have been working, for example, with the companies that are supporting us, or we provide them competencies and skills for what concerns the international financial institutions. For example, we have been working with the World Bank, with the Asian Development Bank. They may need is geospatial information products we are able to provide in combination with climate data and climate scenario. We are not doing any kind of climate modeling, and which means that we are looking for complementary competencies and skills. But the last point is, and from my point of view, is training. We are providing a lot of training packages supporting people, experts and professionals with not expertise in Earth observation to get familiar with the EO data in order to raise the awareness about the relevance and the potential of this kind of technology. And I think that this part, exchanging or implementing common solution for training platform, training packages, and so on, could be a good domain to start collaborating also with Canada space sector.
Excellent, excellent. And it's something that you said, I think echoes what Nicholas was mentioning earlier about having access to data and affordable data. That's a big challenge, I think, for some organizations or client uses that they're going to be looking forward to. I'll use the last few minutes maybe to pass it over to Antonio and Stefano. Maybe can you talk about if there's opportunities in the insurance world? Insurance is found everywhere. Do you collaborate with any Canadian insurance companies? Is this a business model that to overcome certain challenges?
Not yet. We don't have collaboration with Canadian insurance companies, but we prefer in this field to collaborate with research institutes and technological company in order to support our business even abroad. We have different collaboration projects, even with international partners. Basically, in our experience, we achieved the best results where research institutes and the industry collaborates on very clear and simple research goals, industrial research goals. in particular, we can have two important projects on which we can create a collaboration even with Canadian institutions. During the forum, we talked also with CRIM, and we are investigating some opportunity in this sense, in particular on two projects. The first one is a project that is called Hammond. Hammond stands for hazard mapping and vulnerability monitoring. It's a project started last month. There is a big consortium of partners in Italy, 13 between the best research institutes and university in Italy, and two important industrial partners, and is led by Leta and the Unipol Group. Here in this project, we would like to achieve three important goals. That is the creation of a land monitoring tool to be used when there are extreme flood events, in order to create a digital twin of the areas that are impacted by flood event using artificial intelligence and satellite imagery. Another goal would be the creation of a stochastic weather generator to characterize the, let's say, the weather variables, and we would use this kind of tool in our pricing models, but also the possibility to predict the probability of occurrence of extreme events using seasonal forecasts. And the last important project on which we are investigating a collaboration is a set of climatological indices. This project is called European Extreme Events Climate Index, but we named European not because data are available only for Europe, but because we used data coming from European programs and institutions to work on this project. And basically is a collection of indices that describes phenomena like heat waves, cold waves, hail, and rainstorms, and so on. It's a project funded by the IFAB Foundation. Marco, please raise your hand, the director we have here with us. And we developed the project together with Euro-Mediterranean Center on Climate Change. And it is an index, a collection of indices used a lot also by several European central banks in order to investigate the relation between macroeconomic variables and the impacts of climate change events.
Excellent. That's a lot of opportunities there. Very good. Stefano, can we close up with you and talk about opportunities?
The word, in my opinion, collaboration is the key. To realize a good collaboration is needed to put on the same table expert of the problem that must be solved, as in the case of refinery chemical engineer, expert of artificial intelligence techniques, and the user. So once there is this table that needs to have or a sound business plan or some governmental help to support the single initiative, the way is easy. But the main problem is to identify this table, to support this table in such a way. Okay, we are here to look for additional, of course, collaboration with the Italian company and, of course, Canadian company. So, please.
Well, thank you very much, everyone. Maybe we could offer them a warm appreciation for their time. Thank you very much. And I'll just ask you to leave your microphones on the seats, and I'm going to be welcoming our next group of our cohort, who are going to be shifting the discussion a little bit more to the health or e-health monitoring from artificial intelligence and space technology that's moving down to Earth. So can we welcome Rodolfo Sardoni, Dr. Abdo Shabah, Barbara Dessel, and Darin Abied. So no more long-winded introductions on my end. Let's jump into the fun things. In preparation for the panel, I was doing some of my own personal research, and I took out the top 10 ways AI and the space economy is supporting life sciences, and maybe I can just go through there. But then I really want to follow kind of the same line of questions to understand your organization, what your focus is, and how it's using AI to move forward. So AI, we're talking about in life sciences, from remote healthcare, drug discovery, genomic analysis, imaging and diagnostics, public health monitoring, wearable health technology, disaster response, rehabilitation with like robotics, predictive analytics, and data sharing and collaboration is another way to use AI to help the health sciences. So let us jump in. Abdo, maybe we can continue from your conversation a little bit earlier on today. We understand that you're in situations in disaster zones and so forth, and you touched on about connectivity. Can you go a little bit deeper today and talk about what Humanitas is doing and how it's using AI for the benefit of humanity on Earth?
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much for this opportunity. So we started from space, we came to Earth, and now we're going back to space. Initially, what we wanted is to really, and that's a tagline of what we're doing at Humanitas, is empowering teamwork anytime, anywhere, and especially when it's much needed to save lives. So for disaster response, that was extremely important. And we started in space because we needed to have this connectivity. We needed to connect all the teams on the ground, and we needed also to have some imagery to be able to see, well, what's happening after, let's say, for an earthquake or flood and those situations. So it was extremely important for us to be able to capture that kind of data. So we started working on drones. Drones can fly high enough to say, well, they might be ending in space at some point. And this is what we have developed recently, the concept of this high altitude platform systems, which can go within 1 hour to 20 kilometers and can be stationary, and you can have a lot of payloads there, so which might need, you can have any cameras, but at the same time, they are also providing connectivity, and they are meshing between each others to be able to exchange information and to a larger distance. So we ended by working on 5G, how we can take this kind of technology and use it on those kind of platforms. And the pandemic did hit, and then what we thought, what can we do with existing technology? Pretty good, we thought, in terms of technology of meshing. So we brought this to the indoor spaces. And from the indoor spaces, we brought it to hospitals to connect all the hospitals directly and be able, same as a satellite constellation, to geolocate where are the patients, where are the providers, sending them direct notifications, and being able to bring this 5G on-premise on the spot. And recently, we got back to the same technology that we're... So one of the messages that I have is that some technology can really enable, some other key technologies can be monetized much easier in Earth technology and eventually brought back to space. And this is one of the aspects of what we have developed. Platform is very challenging to develop, so we have developed this platform in space and then bring it back within interior spaces. And the AI part is extremely interesting because you can use it, independently, where you want to, because some of the technology that we have, well, you need to reorganize, the information. So you're offloading some information from one satellite to another satellite. You're processing it. You're specializing your HAPS, your high altitude platform system, and this is the kind of technology that we're even putting inside, so indoor. So all the information that is treated within one room goes and moves with the needs that, if a physician goes from one space to another space, let's say from the emergency room to the intensive care unit, well, everything goes there. It's a matter of scaling things up. So the kind of AI algorithms that we use are related to telecommunication, so all the meshing, all the routing, the network slicing, providing good networking for specific devices, and the sensing. So which based on, it's like a radar based on what's happening, well, we're able to know exactly what kind of activities are happening. And this is all related to technologies that started from space and that are actually being used in one of the hospitals that we have deployed in since the pandemic.
Okay. Excellent. Wow. Interesting how you went from space to Earth and then back up again. I'd like to pass it over to Rodolfo Sardoni, the scientific director. Can you please introduce yourself a little bit and talk to us about...
Thank you for the invitation in this gender balanced panel.
It's a start.
It's an honor to be one of the unbalanced. So I'm Rodolfo Sardone. I came from the southern Italy. I'm a medical doctor that deals with numbers. So I'm an epidemiologist and a statistician involved in a project. I basically work for a public institution that is the National Institute of Health. That has that basically move to follow the Horizon Europe project, one in 2022, that is Mistral, from which is growing up another huge project that is Calliope, that is funded by the Ministry of Enterprises and Made in Italy, the MIMIT, that from with a sort of funding campaign named under the umbrella of Casa delle Tecnologie Emergenti that Luca Rea explored in the previous panel in the morning. This project is a very huge project in terms of funding, because it's a 13 million euros project, and it is a sort of, next slide please, it's a sort of umbrella project that involve several companies and public institutions and research institutions of the southern Italy, particularly in the city of Taranto. That is a city with 200,000 inhabitants, put it between two seas. It's with a very particular ecosystem and biodiversity peculiarity in terms of marine species and other kind of fauna, terrestrial fauna and marine fauna, but had some problem during the last 40 years, because he has a huge steel plants directly at the northern border of the city that had a huge urban pressure in terms of environmental pressure, in terms of pollution. So the background, in terms of cultural background, growing up in the last years as new ideas, resilient ideas, how to manage and to monitor the environment, and particularly for the air pollution. And this project that is Calliope, that is Casa delle Tecnologie Emergenti, for One Health, is basically aimed to create a sort of huge monitoring platform for One Health. That is a new concept in public health. That is not so new, but it's the approach is very recent from the fact sheet of the 2018 the WHO that defined One Health as a sort of balance between the human health at the center and the animal health and the environmental health. Everyone knows now after COVID-19 how was important was this concept and this approach. Next slide, please. And we try to translate the One Health concept that is very broad public health approach into urban health that is more fitted to urban dimension. That means that we assess basically the needs of urban background, in particular of the city of Taranto, and trying to monitoring and investigate also into a research approach, scientific approach, the association between the non-clinical determinants of health and the health outcomes, adverse health outcomes, or also health outcomes not properly adverse. So healthy, for example, healthy outcomes such as good aging or centenarian reaching or something like that. The interesting thing is that urban health takes into account determinants that are not usually considered from medical doctors in physical exam or in clinical practice, that are related to education, to social deprivation, and also to the root causes of education and social deprivation that usually are connected to the urban background and also to urban planning, particularly to the good feature of urban planning that are related to, for example, the green into a city, or the good or intelligent mobility into a city that could reduce contextually the emission in terms of urban or environmental pressure, and the well-being, increasing the physical activity, for example, introducing bicycle using on bicycle sharing and other things like that. Next slide. So this project, this Canliope, is a sort of ecosystem, an umbrella innovation platform that involves 30 institutions, 30 partners, 11 enterprises and startups, and the others are research institutes and public health or healthcare provider, public healthcare providers. The aim of this project is basically to establish the culture of One Health and translate it into an urban health approach, collaborating also and particularly with the municipality of Taranto, that is the most important actor in this project of transition, in collaboration with the local health care of Taranto and the universities of the local universities of the southern Italy. The connection with this kind of teams that we discussed in those days is basically the creation of a platform that use different kind of data, starting from personal healthcare data that is very innovative, because you know that the privacy policy, particularly in Europe, the GDPR, that is our regulation in a sort of privacy shield that create several limits into research in terms of limitation to access to personal data. We try to comply to this kind of regulation according to the law of the GDPR, but trying to creating new methods for masking those data, particularly when we use geocodified data. And when we use satellite imagery and the drone imagery, particularly for to create data sets for environmental exposure of a particular zone of the area of the city, we need to be very careful because despite there is no identification code or anagraphic, you can basically find that people considering the place where he or her lives, and also considering the rarity of the disease that she or he is affected. For this reason, we tried to create a sort of geomasking using artificial intelligence that is very innovative and that could translate those kind of huge interoperability models into public health practice. The aim is to create, and we are just developing the next 2 or 3 months, to create an interoperability platform that use healthcare data for the entire population of the city of Taranto, environmental data derived from satellite imagery, so remote sensing imagery, and drone campaign aimed to create a sort of map of the city of Taranto, considering also exposure, environmental exposure that are uncommonly considered in public health, that are noise pollution and light pollution. Consider that noise pollution is the most important risk factor for hearing loss. That is the most important risk factor for dementia. So you can understand that it's very important to have this kind of modeling. So
we'll have to close that up. I want
Okay.
to give just the two other panelists an
I finished.
opportunity. Thank you. Great. Thank you very much, Rodolfo. I'm going to pass it over to Barbara, who's going to speak on behalf of Ivado.
So I'm very pleased to be here, and I really would like to thank the organization team. So my name is Barbara Decel. I work at Ivado. For those who don't know what is Ivado, Ivado is a consortium of research, training, and knowledge transfer in artificial intelligence. And our goal is to develop and deploy algorithms that will be robust, responsible, and reasoning. So to do so, we decided to take the leadership and to found like 9 research team with clear topic that will help first to develop AI, so using science to make better AI or machine learning, but also to use AI to do to help the science and to give back to the population. So in this 9 thematic, we have 2 in health. So we have one which will focus on health systems, and one other that will focus on drug discovery and molecule discovery. So other initiatives that we develop at Ivado will be trainings for the organization, for them to build like new expertise and to bring them into their team. And we also collaborate with organizations such as Humanitas and Bain in order to help them to develop AI projects and to connect them with AI experts. So as a health research advisor, I'm like specifically involved in all health research projects. And so I know we talked a lot about data quality, data accessibility, and what we see in health is that this is one major challenge to develop robust AI algorithms. And one solution that could be brought by AI could be, and we have talked already about these methods, will be like having like synthetic data or federated learning. So we know we have researchers already working on bringing solution, because at the present time, the data in health are not accessible enough to build robust algorithms. So this is something that we're really interested in tackling in the next year. Another point that I would like to bring is that in health also, like when we think about deploying AI algorithms, we would like them to be trustable and like explainable. This is another challenge. And on that side, this is where we work also together. And I really believe that like if we are capable to deploy AI algorithm for health in space, it will make them really credible to be brought on Earth and deployed like in area which are like medical desert. I don't know how to, I'm sorry for my English. So there is a lot of potential there. And what could be deployed in space could be then bring back and with a lot of value for the population. And finally, as I said, that at the present time, AI models are maybe not ready like to be used for healthcare assistance. But there is other applications that could be done, like and where it's less risky, which could be, for instance, like well-being or prevention. And I know that in Occident, our medicine is a lot based on curation, but maybe we should think about like prevention. And I think the project of Calliope is also a good example because it will probably allow to take like action in prevention to bring better health for the population.
That's very, very true. And it's interesting how data for the health is going to be one of the bigger challenges in using AI. We only actually have 5 minutes left, so I want to leave that for our final panelist, Darren Amiad from Bain. Can you please introduce us a little bit more about your organization, how you're using AI, and if there's any type of collaboration in addition to Ivado and Humanitas that your organization is doing?
Hi, everyone. Thank you for the invitation, and thank you for all the discussion today. Everything is interesting. I didn't have a presentation on my back, but I will invite you to go to bain.io, and you will have a nice interactive visiting for what we are building to go to the moon. It's a point of care. It's nice, like our design team is an amazing team. My name is Darren. I'm the CSO and co-founder of Bain. Bain is a startup we started like a few years ago, focusing on how we enhance smart living. And when we talk about smart living, health is, we think it's part of our smart living smart, living healthy. And since the pandemic, we have been focusing on how we can bring health everywhere, anywhere, anytime. And democratized with a focus on if we are in a crisis, how we can build like more resilient system. And this is what we come from, the idea of building an ecosystem and bring the health service out of the physical system and building a digital physical system for health and eco-health like a digital physical ecosystem on healthcare and bring that service out of the classical space, which is the hospital, and how we can think about our future hospital and our future health system. We think about healthcare as a service, and if we think about how we can bring this intelligent service to a human and be human-centered, we think we need really to build that service around the patient or around the person and around the other users, which normally, or the health provider. And we try to bring on, we build our system in between to bring like continuous connection between the health providers and the patient. In a way, we bring the point of care on a proximity. And when we talk about a proximity, we talk about wearables, we talk about our container, which we would like to not send it to the remote region before we send it to the moon, because that can solve a lot of problems and have more accessible healthcare. On the AI, and I'm so glad that we have talked about IoT, 5G, and AI, because AI is not disconnected from those technology. It's part of those technology. As a person or as a researcher and a PhD on pervasive intelligent system, for me, I didn't think about AI as a disconnected from. It's normally here to bring potential or show potential and bring like that cognitive capacity. And I think about as a system when IoT, it's our sense, it's we sensing the data, we observe activity, we can collect data, and the AI, it's the brain. And normally it cannot or it shouldn't be centered, it need to be distributed on a system because our brain is, I don't think, is just the most intelligent organ. Our nerve system, it's everywhere in our brain, and we use that when we build our ecosystem in Bain. We try to distribute it, the AI to be able also to respect privacy, to build a proximity on the intelligence and help the autonomy of the patient and the health provider as a tool to enhance their observability. I give example. We have heard about scores today on medical. A lot of those scores, we have worked a lot with doctors to design our system and develop those features. A lot of those scores, like we bring it to the doctors on papers. And we make, like the doctor will take time to be able to have the scores. And one, we have built like just a simple thing. We have digitalized the scores and put an expert system on top. And that have maybe decreased the time of decision making for those doctors. And they was like, oh my God, I can see everything now on one screen, and it's helping me to make a better decision. Or when we have also some doctors, when we show them our immersive and they tried this container, they said like, okay, the patient is another side and I have the same data that the patient see and me, I see it. And sometimes we see a little, like, for example, the breath rate or the heart rate is going up, and I can practice in distance some exercise of breathing, and it can give me like, it's a database real time to do that. Just a second, I will finish that. Those data, when we talk about IoT, the AI help also enhance the quality of this data because we use AI for data imputation, for collecting like missing data, etc. That means like AI, it's part. I cannot go through all where we have implemented AI, but it's part of the system in different layers and different functionalities.
So you're creating dashboards, patient dashboards for doctors to understand the...
Both, they will have pretty much same data, and that create like a more human connection between the doctor and the patient when we talk about e-health.
Well, I invite the audience to maybe continue the conversation after the debrief and the networking session to understand a little bit more opportunities for collaboration and to explore a little bit more of the details about what our expert panelists are bringing to the e-health. So please, let's give them a warm thank you for their contribution. Yeah, we all go back to where we started, and that's where we're going to close off today's forum. Thank you very much for your participation.